A few months ago, I made videos about expanding and contracting dominant seventh chords using morphing. Since then, I have realized that there is much more to doing this than what I told you. The true story is both more complicated but also more simple. I'm calling this idea the Quartet of dominant seventh chords. First of all, we want to review a very basic idea about diminished chords. Remember that you make a diminished chord by stacking fat tones, and I call this stacking the fats. For this reason, I sometimes call a diminished chord in lessons the fat chord, because that's exactly what it really is. You may want to remember also that anytime we make a diminished chord, we can invert that chord 3 times. And each inversion gives us a diminished chord with a new name. You might also want to think of the original chord plus those 3 other inversions as the origin of my quartet name. Once we have a diminished chord, any diminished chord, we can instantly change that chord into 4 dominant 7 chords by lowering each note in the diminished chord 1/2 tone. So if we start off with a C diminished chord, we end up with B7, D7, F7, and A flat 7. We can repeat this process 3 more times by inverting our diminished chord, but I am only showing that in a picture because playing all of these chords would take too long and also would be too boring. That's the basic part of this video, and you want to get this down solid before going on. Just remember that any diminished chord easily morphs into 4 dominant 7 chords by lowering some note in the diminished chord 1/2 tone. We can do the same process with any inversion of the diminished chord. And that's it. Now comes the rabbit hole, and this is going to be a whopper of a rabbit hole. If we take the 4 dominant 7 chords that we end up by morphing our diminished chord, we can just skip the diminished chord and get right to the results. This gives us 4 very interesting, interrelated quartet dominant 7 chords that we want to manipulate. Once again, playing all of the possible variations will take too long for this video, so I am only playing 1 line of what I wrote out. But I am showing you all the possible variations, and I will be giving out the complete story to my own students. What really happens is this. Sometimes the outer notes are common tones and the 2 notes in the middle flip places. This is the most subtle morph, and it is incredibly useful for modulating because it almost seems like nothing changes. Almost. Such chords can also expand or contract where only the bottom note or the top note moves. This can happen in 2 ways, so here is the first way. And here is the second way. Finally, the most extreme change is where the top and bottom notes both move inward or outward. I'm going to show you both ways. In addition, when you invert these chords into something with open voicings, the expansion or contraction reverses. Here we contract first and then expand. Here we expand first and then contract. Last but not least, I'm going to chain together some of these amazing dominant 7th chords together with a couple of German 6th chords. Then I will end up on an E-flat major chord, and I will improvise a nice ending that I have not notated. For me, the result of doing all this gives me results that mirror what I hear from the greatest composers of the last few centuries. And that includes composers writing music at this very moment. What you really want to do is just to play diminished chords everywhere and then start morphing them to find out what happens. The result is always unpredictable and always fascinating. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Leave me comments about anything you like, comments about anything you'd like to see in the future, and remember that I consider all suggestions.